Hey guys, okay, this is I showed you the first video on how to set up the front end of the machine and everything like that. Now we're getting to the table, almost there. Okay, the first thing before you do anything here with the adjusting the table or anything is what I do is I don't know how anybody else does it, but this is now how to tell how far off the front end of the machine is side to side. You know, it was installed too much, or what, you know, was installed a little funky or whatever. How I do that is I kind of just eyeball. I use basically this, try to get the center of the butt plate, and I tie a piece of string or rope or whatever, something real long around here. And you know, you could put a plumb block or something on the end of it, let it drop down, and it should land somewhere around over here towards the #1 spot in the center. You know, obviously if it lands like over here or over here, your front end is a little bit off side to side somewhere. Something's off somewhere. But that is how you tell the side to side movement, the centering of the front end of the machine. So yeah, that's the first thing you do. After you check that and get that set up right, you know, setting the height up and everything I stated in the last video, what you do after that is before you adjust anything, obviously you want to check to make sure all the parts are in good shape. So just, you know, make sure the condition of your table drive, make sure nothing is busted on here. Make sure none of your end fittings are bad on the leveling rods, or make sure your springlet bushing, your little springlets, I call that a springlet bushing, that the counterbalance springs hooked up to, make sure those aren't eaten away. Make sure your lightning rod bushings are good. You know, make sure there's no playment or anything, and you know, make sure, another critical thing is make sure this spring is not pulling through, or like this is worn through here. You know, make sure this is tightened all the way out. Make sure the conditions, depending on if you have the old style table posts that are new style, these that are newer style ones. You want to check the condition of the bearings in here, make sure those aren't worn. Or a lot of times these get loose here where the end fittings bolt, and I've seen these get egged out too. So you want to check the condition of basically all the parts and everything before you do anything with adjusting the height of the table or anything at all. You know, check the condition of your pillow blocks. These don't have pillow blocks. These have the newer style assembly on here. These are actually nylon inside. You know, obviously you can check the condition of these. You know, another big thing, look for cracks around here, the machine frame. You know, you might, you know, just make sure basically that you check everything. Just check everything, make note of it. Once again, it's very, very important. Once everything looks like it's in good shape, then you're pretty much good to go. Just want to make note that with the table, let's go to the back of the machine. Make sure you all don't forget to check the condition of these bushings. You know, if you got some playment in here like that, because that can cause inconsistent spotting. You know, like I said, check your lightning rod bushings and so on. Basically, just everything that pivots or moves on the table, just make sure you know, it's not badly worn or has any type of play in it or anything like that. And also, while you're in here, you know, just make sure your tension springs for pulling the cups back are set evenly. The starting point is for this to be set in line with this. This bolt should be in line. See, this one actually could use a tad more tension, but the cups pull away smoothly, so I'm not worried about it. But right around here is where this should be set. If you have to add or take away tension, how you do that is with the table in the air in respotting, you basically just loosen this this jam nut right here, this nut, very slowly, and you could push it forward or pull it back. Don't loosen it that much. You could use a screwdriver, get in there and pry it up with a screwdriver. There are a few different ways to do that. That's how I do it anyway. But that's how you adjust. So always make sure the tension's set properly on these. So once you're done with that, you're ready to pretty much get in there and start working on the table. Of course, obviously, sorry, dropped my phone there. Obviously, what you guys want to do is always check see that? That is about 4 1/8 in diameter of the cup. You should always check all the cups, make sure they're somewhere like that. They could be a little bit more, a little bit, once again, it's a tolerance. Just make sure you can get the 5/16 gauge. So anyway, yeah. So that's another thing that's very important that you check that. Yeah, so once you're done with all that and you know all the parts of the table and everything else is in good condition, you could pretty much move on to setting up the table. So now the first thing you want to do is, this is where things start to change a little bit in the way most people do it and the way I do it. And it's not just there's other people that have done this before. I'm not an inventor of this. This is just how I like to do it. What you do is you basically I take rubber bands and I'm not going to be able to do this with the cup here. I take the rubber band and I hook it to the Allen stud on the respot cell, and I pull it forward, then I hook it to this one, the set screw, and then you take another rubber band and you go this way, so it's going to look like a cross. Now you'll see in the very center of those rubber bands where they cross will be a square like that. That square should line up perfectly to where the center of the pin spot is. So basically, if you take a table flag and you take a table flag and center it right to the center of this dot versus the rubber band going here and here, it's the same. It's going to read the same. So what I do is I put one rubber band on this one, one rubber band on this one, one across here, and I hook it to here like this in the cell. And like I said, the center of where the rubber bands cross, you'll see like a square. Then the center of that square, the dot should be in the center. So instead of flagging it, I actually do it with rubber bands, and I'm going to explain why. The reason why is because with the table flags, to get the perfect reading, the table needs to be at 5/16 off the pin deck. If not higher, it could be probably a little bit higher, a little lower, but it needs to be around 5/16 or very close to it. So that's really the only way you can get a proper reading. So that's why I use the rubber bands to do it. Now, before I get in and get back there and show you, you do all three, you want to set the table height. Once again, to start at the lowest, the table should be from the pin deck is approximately 1/4 of an inch.